what would we do without each other? So that's where we're headed now, to that very important aspect of our lives, and that would be building strong and lasting marriages. And to help us on this conversation, we have the perfect person, family strategist and consultant, founder, the Institute of Family Engineering and Development Africa, IFED, Coach Praise Fowowe, who joins us virtually from Ubri, Texas. Hello again, Coach PF. This is perhaps one of the fastest comebacks to the morning brief. The last time we had you, you had just won the Presidential Award for Community Service, the President Joe Biden Award, and you're back again. We're glad to have you. Welcome to the morning brief.
Yeah, it's a pleasure being back again. It's early morning. I should be sleeping, but I mean, we'll do anything for Channels Television. I'm excited to be back again.
Thank you for the sacrifice. So it's an important conversation, particularly set against the backdrop of what's happening in recent times. We just, bemoaned the marriages that we have, the marriage that we had celebrated for perhaps more than a decade in the music scene. And so before we even get to building strong and lasting marriages, maybe we should understand what leads to the breakup of marriages. You are an experienced family life strategist. From some of the conversations that you have had as a family health doctor, what are the things that you find to be underlying causes that manifest as symptoms when you speak with couples?
Okay, thank you very much. Unknown to a lot of people, marriages, I mean, when I see people say things like, oh, marriages are bad, marriages don't fail. It's the people in the relationship that fail. And oftentimes, a lot of the people are not even aware of what they were dealing with when they got into the marriage, because many people in marriages had what we likely call pre-existing condition, which are unresolved trauma, right? And so when they come in a marriage, they do not know that they are bringing patterns and they are bringing ideologies from the family that raised them into a relationship. Now, it will interest you to know that, I mean, I practiced for 24 years. A lot of the marriages in crisis, when I'm asking the question, why did you get married? You will be shocked at the answers they give you. You will hear things like, I got married to her because I've always wanted someone to take care of the home. That person needed a housekeeper, not necessarily a wife. You will hear things like, I got married to him because, he was nice and all those things. So the reason for getting married is not usually strong enough for the marriages to work. The other factor is the fact that an average marriages that go through a crisis lack what we call the family life vision of the family vision. So when you're asking a typical couple what a family vision is, which is a vision is a mental picture of a preferred future, which means the end that we both of us are looking forward to. They don't have, and even when they have, it's not uniform. So they are in a relationship, they are holding themselves, but they are headed in different directions. So every other thing people talk about as their basic symptoms, the fundamental issue is the fact that there is one person who is unsettled, whose trauma is unsettling the relationship, or in some cases, the two of them are dealing with unresolved trauma, and eventually they traumatize themselves in the relationship. And they will say that, you see, hurting people eventually hurt others and they hurt themselves. So that's what is happening at the foundational level of many relationship. But what people say is, oh, he's cheating on this person is not faithful, this person is fighting the other person. But the foundational issues are often not discussed, and it's because you ask yourself, what level of premarital counseling did they go through before they got married? Because if they went through a professional session, there are assessments that could have picked what would likely be a problem in many marriages.
So let's ask a very fundamental question that sometimes maybe is misinterpreted, poorly defined, or not defined at all. Who is a wife? Who is a husband?
Okay, now, so before you talk about a wife, you can't talk about a wife before talking about male and female in the relationship, right? And so, because a lot of people who even teach these things, they misrepresent, misunderstand, and miscommunicate some of these things, right? Because you cannot be a wife and a husband without, first of all, becoming a male or female or a man or woman. Now, a lot of people don't know that female is simply the expression of the feminine expression of humanity, while male is the masculine expression of humanity. Now, at those two levels, you are supposed to be able to develop, to grow, to have a personal vision for yourself, to be able to develop yourself, add value to the society, and honest living, and be able to at least feed yourself before you come to the marital table. Now, if we are now, so which means at the realm of male and female, you're talking about identity. The role is where you now have husband and wife. And a husband simply, I mean, the word bridegroom defines a typical husband, which means is a groomer of a bride. Your job description is already defined, which means you are supposed to be able to groom whatever comes to you and make her better. And that's why you can't be a husband and be competing with your wife, because you are actually supposed to groom her to become the best version of herself and set her free to manifest at the highest level. Because if she begins to manifest at the highest level, she defers to you, because it's a, for lack of a better word, you are a coach, a world-class coach of a world-class player. Right? The effect of your grooming ability is what we find in your wife. Wife, on the other end, I mean, if you look at the etymology of the word wife, it's interesting to know that it's the word Ezer, right? Which has its root in the kind of help that only God could have supplied. If you check it in Greek, it's the word parakletos, which is similar to the word used for the Holy Spirit, which means she's a help meet. And that's why we say to a woman that, I mean, a lot of people want to get in marriage, that if you are not going to trust the leadership of the person you want to get married to, them, there's no point in getting married to them. So for lack of a better word, or to put it in the context of our everyday language, the husband is like the president of a nation. The wife is like the vice president of a nation. The head of the nation knows. It's neither the smartest, it's neither the strongest, it's not the best. It's simply a servant saddled with the responsibility of creating an ideal environment where the potential of everyone can find expression. Now, when people don't understand these definitions, they will run into crisis, and a whole lot of infighting will begin to happen, you know, because of the culture, or because of what they've been taught, or what they've seen over time, and then both of them are going to self-sabotage if the care is not taken.
Interesting. Thank you for that explanation. I hope some people get it in the future, that the women are the helpers in that sense that you describe it. But Coach, I'm glad you're talking to us from the United States. I want you to speak to this, what seems to be a growing marital crisis from those who migrate from these parts, and you know, they begin to settle in the West. And more often than not, the story is that the husband is unable to step into the new role set against the peculiar challenges of what the West dictates. And more often than not, it ends in the breakup of the marriage. Is it a case of, in these parts, they were able to function well because, you know, everything is available, and then settling in, you know, sort of, you know, reveals what was truly in them? So what are the things that you find to be the underlying factors responsible, and how can it be tackled such that migration does not lead to breakup of marriages?
I think you've really answered the question yourself. What is happening is marriages in Africa mostly it's emotional. Marriages in the West or in the United States or North America is systems based, right? And so I was working in the UK last year, April, and I stumbled on the latest data that says 48% of marriages that crash in the UK cite unreasonable behavior. Majority of those marriages that crash are new immigrants who are just coming in. What is unreasonable behavior, you might want to ask? Unreasonable behavior is a situation where people migrate from Africa and they move to the West, or they move to other parts of the world, and the men still expect women to fully function the way they function in Africa, wherein you have to cook breakfast, you have to take care of the children. You know, unfortunately, when people move to this part of the world, children are malleable. The first thing you notice about your children is that their accent changes almost immediately. The women are able to blend faster, also because, I mean, they get jobs faster and all. But a lot of the men emotionally never move out of the African thinking. And so unreasonable behavior is where a man gets to the UK or gets to America, It's not even willing to cook. It's not willing to do anything. You know, it's just think that, you know, the way it works is the same way it's going to work out here. Unfortunately, the system here favors, the priority actually is the child, the wife, the women, and then the men. Right? So when our men don't understand this, they don't learn new skills that enables them effectively work out here. The gaps that Africa did not reveal will be revealed so widely here. And it's a function of how do you see your wife. If you see your wife as a friend, if you see your wife as a teammate, right, then it wouldn't matter. You will know that star players don't win or lose matches. It takes a thing to lose and win matches. You will know that the narrative will change from when you clean your house, for example. You say, I'm helping my wife. Your wife is not a cleaner. You are helping your family. You are keeping your family clean by mopping the floor. When you babysit, you are not helping your wife. You are helping your child and helping your family. And so what we began to do, because, I mean, it was, last year was bad. It was bad. It was a bloodbath. A lot of marriages crashed out here. What we began to do is to create an entry program for a lot of Nigerians and Africans who are now migrating here, to say, okay, there is a simple course they can easily take that helps them understand that life in Africa is totally different from life here. So in that course, they begin to learn about how to quickly create a family vision, how to create the family values, how to create the family system, how the system out here works, and how to even script their romance and how to raise their children, right? And so those are the things people need to begin to learn. Right. But the fundamentals are families in Africa is emotional, families out here is systems driven.
All right, we just have maybe less than 2 minutes to end this conversation, but there's an intervention I would like you to quickly comment on, which has to do with the complexities of power. They say it's a patriarchal society, men rule the world. So when man is in a position of power, or whether he has money or is a political position and uses it, even when he's being excessive, people stay with the issue of the money and the power. But if it's a woman, they quickly refer to the fact because she's a woman. So I want you to help women in this complexity to balance on how to manage power. Because as soon as a woman does one thing or the other, say, is it because you have money? Is it because you're that? So I know you understand my drift.
I do. You know, the problem, again, it goes back to the foundation. How do you see a woman? Do you see a woman as a human being who is subservient to man, or you see her as the feminine expression of you? If what you're saying is the feminine expression of you, then it wouldn't matter whether she's the one in power. You'll be excited at the fact that someone that you literally produce or someone that you know is in power. And we need to deal with our own insecurity. I'm not saying that some women don't have excesses, but can we deal with our insecurities and be comfortable in our own skin to understand? Because the question you ask is, if that person were your daughter, your thinking will be totally different. So how come you can't see your wife in that light, as it were? So it comes back to the fact that what vision are we trying to push as a family? If we understand the end, then it wouldn't matter who does what. We will know that we're, first of all, friends. The major gap that exists is the fact that how we define who we are is faulty. The moment we all go back to the fact that the female is the feminine expression of humanity, which is the word man, because originally the word man is not gender-centric, and the male is the masculine expression of humanity, we will come to a table where we collaborate as against compete. And how we see the person is a human being, which is an expression of me, a type of me. And we would go back to the African ideology, which is Ubuntu. I am because you are. There is no me without you. Whatever I do against you, I do against myself. At that level, we will all calm down and take a chill pill and provide support for one another without thinking that someone is turning you down, person is talking you down. At the end of the day, can we build a society that works? I think that's what we should be talking about.
And you know what they say, that patriarchy is its own enemy. Coach, I'd love you to speak on situationships, but of course it's an ongoing conversation, and we're going to have you again, I'm sure, in the near future. We've been talking with Praise Fowowe, who is the founder, Institute of Family Systems Engineering and Development, and a family life strategist. Thank you so much for your time on the program.
My pleasure. Bye.